Well, isn't that nice? Good afternoon to one and all. It is 1 o'clock London time. It's an obscene 7 a.m. Texas time, I think it is. We have Reggie Johnson all the way from Fort Worth, Texas. We've got Wayne Denner from the most beautiful part of Ireland, some would say, Warren Point, County Down. And we've got Tim Bennett, who is the managing director and founder of Powerhouse Digital and a creator of Bob EAI. He's also the creator of Craft, which we're going to talk about how to craft great prompts that you get better marketing results. So we've got a busy session today. I'm going to give you the link, but before we do, I want to play a little bit of music. It is St. Patrick's weekend. It used to be a day when I was a young guy, but it's now a whole blooming weekend. The pubs are going to milk this into oblivion. Anyways, we've got a really nice piece of music, as it is St. Patrick's Day. We have got Paddy Fitzpatrick, who's the composer, and playing the tenor banjo, I believe it was, Wayne, yeah. And we have Wayne Denner's son. Wait for it. Remember this name, Johnny Denner on guitar. What a name, Johnny Denner on guitar. So it's Paddy's weekend. Wayne, can we play the track? It's as yet unnamed, and we're going to ask people to send in suggestions for the name of this unnamed track. And it's Paddy's weekend, so give us your creative juices there, folks. All right, Wayne, do you want to let it roll? Isn't that lovely? Wayne, we're going to play the full track at the end. We'll play the full track, but that's glorious. That Paddy Fitzpatrick, young Paddy. How old is Paddy?
Both boys are 15, Paul.
They're both 15 years old. Isn't it a great tradition of culture and music that you live in that they can produce something like that? Is that his first song ever, or is he a regular?
He's a regular, yeah. He's been playing banjo now for quite a few years, and his friend Johnny, they've just sort of jammed together now and put some music out there. So it's fantastic to see them producing this great quality of Irish traditional music.
Irish traditional music is really beautiful on St. Patrick's weekend. So Paddy Fitzpatrick, the composer and the tenor banjo player, and we have to say Wayne's son, Johnny Denner on guitar, live on air. We've got a small group, but we love our group and they love our stuff, and we try to vary it. So this is a real honor to have the guys do this for us on Paddy's weekend, St. Patrick's weekend. Right, so what are we going to talk about today? We've got AI smarter than humans. This is a real issue that we can't run away from. Followed by superintelligence ending humanity. We've touched upon this before. Followed by brains wired to make AI human, into the psychology of it all. And then we're going to look at the AI trap. And I think we're going to see more and more and more of this AI trap occurring. Time allowing, we'll get into fragmented MarTech versus intelligent MOS. That's the marketing operating systems. And now, if we run out of time, we'll skip that because I want to make space for. We've got Tim Bennett coming in today. Tim, great to see you, talking about 20 simple ways to beat competition via better AI prompts. Now, Tim, you're in kind of the peak of your prowess, we could say, insofar as you're just pumping out great stuff at the moment. And since we kind of did the agenda, you've come out with another batch. So I'm going to put links to both batches for people that they can have a look at. And we'll post the link. Wayne will probably put them into the notes. We can invite people to say hello, tell us where you're from. That's always of interest. Please give us suggestions for that song, which we'll play at the end, or that track that we will play at the end. But also, we'll post the links to everything we talk about on prsmith.org/blog/AI. Wayne will give you the details there. Okay, so let's just kick off with AI being smarter than humans. Now, this is Anthropic, the chief executive of Anthropic, coming out, Dario Amodol, saying that he believes superintelligence is almost here. Now, if you recall, Anthropic are probably OpenAI's biggest rival. They're a 60 billion rival to OpenAI now, and they're in the process of probably transforming their startup into one of the mega corporations of tomorrow if they apply their AI abilities. So Dario Amodi actually said AI is going to be better than all of us at everything. So, that's the bottom line. So we're going to have to look at a new way to orient society around this reality where no human will ever be smarter than a machine again. This is a massive quantum leap that we're going to have to deal with, not just in jobs but life overall. So, universal basic income, governments will have to have handouts to underemployed humans, I think. And they say so. Dario Amode says that it's only the beginning of the solution. It's a way of structuring society. Now, I have heard, and we've talked about before, uh, Peter Thiel's company being called a cult, Palantir. So there's kind of a cultish tone there, but these guys strike me as very different to OpenAI and Palantirs and all the rest of it. And they have a conviction that machines could help humans crack the most difficult problems in biology. They disagree with Sam Altman and OpenAI, and they're straying, that they say Altman, and we say it, they strayed away from his original mission of developing AI safely and for the good of humanity into a profit-making model. So Amodi also says, well, it's kind of ironic because he was in charge of safety at OpenAI. Now, Claude is as good or better than ChatGPT across a number of industry benchmarks, and tools such as its computer use agent. I think we're going to hear that expression a lot more, computer use agent, which can take control of a screen, a cursor, and autonomously complete tasks. It'll mark another step change. So watch out for that phrase, computer use agent. We're going to see more of it now. But before Anthropic ever even had a product to sell, they hired a safety team to game out the worst possible scenarios, to build a dirty bomb, to suffer a cyber attack, to enslave humanity, how to avoid these disasters. And the safety focus meant that Anthropic was seen by many, and some accused them of being overly obsessed with doomerism. But they came out with effective altruism, an EA community, effective altruism. So the EA movement is a cultish type of hyper-rational worldview that's focused on doing maximal good in the world that we live in, as measured in cold, hard data, such as number of lives saved. Well, this is serious stuff. So the EAs, this effective altruism, has particularly focused on the existential dangers of AI, and Open Philanthropy is now an EA investment group doing very interesting work. So anyway, super intelligent AI, Dario says, is going to arrive faster, far faster than we've imagined it, because the scaling laws and AI models improvements is directly correlated to data and computing power you feed them. So the scalability is there. And therefore, scaling laws will soon deliver super intelligence quicker than we imagined, they say next year, and that therefore safety is critical. Now, remember we said the stat before, 50% of scientists say there's a 10% chance the AI could end the world. Would you get on a plane if they said there's a 10% chance of the plane not making it? So anyway, Claude is imbued with what has been dubbed as constitutional AI. It's a mix of rules and guidebooks for bot behavior, and it insists that their developments keep to the constitution rules, which might bring us back to Igor Asimov's laws. I wonder how they compare. Maybe we'll look at that another time. But anyways, it's happening. It's here. Dario Amodi recently penned a 10,000-word essay called Machines of Loving Grace. Machines of Loving Grace. Machines of Loving Grace. Wow, what a title. In which he focused on a simple idea. What if it all goes right? So it's refreshing to kind of have that positive thing. What if, we compress a century of scientific progress into a decade and double our lifespans? I'm not sure we want that, but maybe we do. Cure nearly all infectious diseases, solve Alzheimer's and cancer, and, live in a country of geniuses versus clumps of clever cells. I think AI can outthink a bunch of cells, says Dario. Okay, that's real food for thought. But I want to ask Reggie over in Texas. About super intelligence. You can see both sides of it. Is there a different angle?
Well, super intelligence is an interesting thing. Some people say we'll never get there. Some people say we're a long ways away. You hear the guy from Anthropic saying what did he say, 1 year away?
Yeah,
What was it?
year.
1 year. That's interesting. I haven't heard that. Although a lot of people do say that Claude is a more ethical alternative to ChatGPT. So that's it. Of course, their focus on safety being part of the reason why. But Bernard Marr, we talked about a piece from him a couple weeks ago about how he was talking about how agentic AI was going to make generative AI look like a calculator watch. You remember that one where we kind of went into that? In this piece, he wrote, this was back from November, but he talks about super intelligence, and he talks about how it could be humanity's final invention. I mean, of course, it could all go right, or it could be humanity's final invention. And he writes about basically, what makes super intelligence different. Well, artificial general intelligence is the AGI, which we've heard so much about, is to create AI with human-like level intelligence, where it's capable of performing any intellectual task that a human can do. Whereas ASI, artificial superintelligence, is a hypothetical intelligence that surpasses human intelligence in all respects, potentially developing its own consciousness and emotions. That last part probably being even more hypothetical than the first. But Marr talks about the genius that never sleeps. Imagine a being that could read and understand every scientific paper ever written in an afternoon, or devise solutions to climate change while we're sleeping. And what he relates this to is a recursive system, a positive feedback loop called an intelligence explosion, where AI systems can become exponentially smarter because they're constantly learning and developing, like teaching themselves, bootstrapping, whatever you want to call it, while we can't match its pace. Reminds me of the talk of the singularity with Ray Kurzweil, when things become unpredictable because of the pace of change. But he points out there is a double-edged sword of ultimate intelligence. While the benefits may be breathtaking, right now when we look at AI, we see, are they deploying AI, the companies that control the AI, are they deploying it to solve problems that make the world better for everybody? Or are they just, serving their own interests? And what he brings about is, like Bernard Marr talks about, for example, if they're not properly aligned with human values and interests, because he says, consider a super intelligent system tasked with eliminating cancer. I think you know where this might be going. One way that a super intelligent system with a kind of different level of logic could do that is to eliminate all biological beings, because that would be the quickest, most efficient way to make sure cancer never happens again. So constraints. I remember several years ago, Paul, you talked about one of the important things with these systems was constraints. But it's not because it would be malevolent either. It would just be because it uses a logic that we can't foresee or understand. So anyway, he says it's a race against time to ensure we can control what we create. But the questions that we need to be talking about are questions of, who gets to decide how these systems are developed? How do we ensure they remain aligned with human values? For example, stakeholders versus shareholders. I think that's an important one that needs to be solved sooner rather than later. And when may they be capable of rewriting their own code? Now, that's a key point, because then they can change themselves and they're no longer under human control at all when they can start evolving. And right now the tech companies seem to be moving as fast as they can for any kind of progress to put their hat on and profit from it before anyone has time to slow things down with ethical considerations. That's my own concern. So shaping tomorrow's reality, he says, this is just to finish off with Bernard Marr, the key lies not in whether we develop ASI, which he thinks is probably inevitable, but how we prepare. And he gives three things. That means investing in AI safety research, which we're glad to say Anthropic was talking about, developing robust ethical frameworks. It all comes back to philosophy, as Paul has been saying, and fostering international cooperation, and to ensure superintelligent systems benefit all humanity, not just a select few. And I'm concerned because I feel like those three things we're really behind on.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if we're struggling to get the world to come together on basic stuff, but perhaps a different way of looking at it is that maybe AI and its threats might be the catapult that actually triggers people coming together to work collectively together. Wouldn't it be nice to see like sort of utopian approach? It's very real. We need to keep an eye on it. Now, the time has ebbed away, so what I'm going to do is just do 1 minute on the AI trap. I'm going to skip the other stuff. We'll do it next week. But the AI trap, I'm going to spend a minute on. Then I'm going to hand it over to Tim. Now, this AI trap, this is when inexperience meets automation. A piece written by Martin Cawte, Cawte. We'll put the link to it on prsmith.org. So AI is an incredible tool when it's used well. Yeah, we know that. The result, however, is that when you get junior or inexperienced staff relying on AI, and I'm sure Tim would see this happening, people think, oh yeah, I get it, I understand Tim's stuff, and off they go and they do it without any training or knowledge or experience. And the AI, if left on its own, would produce all sorts of stuff in typically generic, off-brand content, misaligned strategies, surface level thinking that doesn't really serve the business. So, AI can enhance decision making, but it can't replace critical thinking, strategic insight, or deep industry knowledge. For example, sustack plan. Somebody says, oh, yeah, you can spit out a sustack plan. How do you know it's any good of a plan or a bad plan or a disastrous plan if you don't understand sustack and you haven't been trained in it, so on and so forth? So the problem isn't AI itself, it's how it's being used and how people are checking it. And you do need critical thinking, you do need some experience and knowledge. You can't just clap your hands and say, do it for me, machine, because that's when we get into dozo land, where we just wander around mindless zombies, totally 100% dependent, not on thinking anymore, but the robots do that for us. So, we have a job to do here. So we need to train teams to think about the AI they're using, how to get the most for it. Now, I want to bring you over to Tim, because Tim Bennett has done some tremendous work in this space. And, you've come out with last week, we did part 1, 20 simple ways to beat competition with better AI prompts. You've been busy. You've done another batch of 30 with kind of shortened prompts for Copilot. Tell us about that, Tim, and what it covers.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So I did some training this week with, it was actually an educational college, the staff of the educational college who are being onboarded to use Copilot within the organization. So one of the things that these guys were looking at were the best ways to get use out of the Copilot, whether it was in the chat interface, whether it was in Outlook or Teams or Word or Excel. And one of the issues that we always find is that if you use a pretty generic prompt, you're going to get a pretty generic answer coming out from the AI. So we use our craft framework to give them a structure basically for those prompts. Now, we can use that craft framework in a very detailed and in-depth way. And I think some of the stuff we touched on last week would go into those kind of deep, A4 prompting scenarios. But
can I just say, Tim, that you've produced a template which allows people to fill in the space in the prompts. And it really is in depth. I think it's a fantastic tool. We'll put a link to that. I think that's a really powerful tool. But so that's the long version, but You've got a short version as well. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things we found in Copilot, because it's something we're using every day, we want quick prompts that we can use there and then. We want things which are not going to be too lengthy and too wordy, but they're the things that are going to give us good, succinct answers from the AI straight away. So I've got a couple of examples I'm going to show you now. Just bear with me. We pull that screen up. So hopefully you can see the screen.
It's coming. There we go. Yep.
Okay. So I think you just had a QR code there to share that.
So we're looking at customer onboarding. So how could our AI, let's say the scenario is we want to do an onboarding, get that cracking, or our new customers coming in, we want to get them onboarded quickly. How could AI help us do onboarding?
Okay, so we're going to look at the context, the role, the attributes and actions that we want this prompt to take, the facts, figures, and functions, and also define what the target outcome is. So if we just whiz down to the one that we're going to touch on here, which is the onboarding sequence. So again, we can see that in the pre-prepared prompts here, we've got context, role, attributes, facts, and just outlined here. And what we've done here is put in brackets things that you can change so that they're suitable for your business. So it depends on what kind of business. In this example, we're going to use people onboarding to a SaaS platform. They're going to be looking at things like the user setup scenario, what data they're going to import into their new SaaS platform, and how they create their first report. So this is the summary text that we're going to put into our prompt. So if we jump over to Claude, all we do is basically highlight this text and copy that. bring that over into Claude, and then in our Claude window, we can just literally type and cut and paste that information in there and hit go. This will open in a new window. So you can see that we've got our initial prompt up here, and Claude's going ahead now, and it's now building out this whole sequence. Along with, in this case, it's building an email guide. It's got a 3-step email guide. And the great thing about this is that this is a really short summary framework and prompt that we're using this time, but the output that we're actually getting from Claude is pretty phenomenal, actually.
Well, tell us now, because the screen's slightly difficult to read. So tell us, okay. I'm the marketer. I've just put all that into my Claude. It's given me, it looks like about 5 or 6 pages worth of answers. Yep. So summarize, what's it giving me there exactly? What are we looking at on screen there?
Okay, so basically what it's doing here, it's building an email sequence. So it believes from this particular prompt that the best way to communicate to these new users of this SaaS platform is through an email sequence in this case. So what it's doing, it's building out a series of emails. First one will be a welcome email, and all of this information would be editable in the prompt that you put in. These prompts are starting points basically to get you going. And so as you see here, it's coming back, welcome to the product name. So if we put our company name in there, it's going to put that into the actual prompt itself. No. So it's building out a welcome email. It's building out an instructional email here on how to do your data import as a guide.
Let me ask you, if I may, Tim, sorry to interrupt you again. So you got the welcome email. Now, is there an automated system here where it waits for 3 days or 2 days before sending the second one, or is it triggered by a response from someone, or does it just go out on day 3 or day 2 or day 1?
Yeah, that's really up to you and your business. We'd probably take these email templates and go and put them in to our CRM platform. So if you were using something like Salesforce, HubSpot, Force24, MailChimp, any one of these platforms, you could then take these and build out your automated sequence separately in that platform. Yep. But what the prompt and what Claude have helped us to do is accelerate the time to actually do that work. So right away, we've got 80% of the content that we need is here and ready to go. And we just need to do the icing on the cake. We need to do that final 20% of fine tuning to make that work really good now. And if we just spin through here, so it's got an email free, so it gives us instructions on creating a first report. That might be something else depending on what your business is, team collaboration features, and so on. So we can build on all of this information to make the output even better by modifying that initial base system prompt.
Lovely. Yeah. Within minutes. Lovely. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty impressive. So we're not saying machine go off and do everything. We're saying there's 20% of the work still to be done, but you've saved 4/5 of your time with a tool like that. That's for, now just give us a feel for the variety of tasks. So that was one task, which was to onboard. So you want to have an onboarding system or process in place integrated with the CRM. So that's how we do that. Can you give us just a list of what other, for example, stuff could be done with those prompts?
So in the quick prompts that we've got here for Copilot, we might be having follow-up emails. So we might be having an email sequence for off the back of a meeting, client update email where we're working on a project with them, maybe a team announcement. In project management, we might be having a project status update announcement. We might be looking at risk assessment, process documentation. We can use it in sales and marketing for things like creating sales email templates, objection handling scripts, social media post creation and content calendars. We can be looking at planning and strategy for creating meeting agendas, decision frameworks, competitive analysis. We might want to use it in HR, so we can build out a prompt that gives us a load of interview questions, performance feedback for our team, job descriptions. We can also use it in product development, customer experience, finance and operations, team development, and exec
Stay with just for a minute, Tim. It's phenomenal. We've only just got a couple of minutes, but product development. How could this help us with product development?
So we could be, one of the prompts we have there is for feature specification. So the context will be that we're going to define the feature requirements for, let's say, a new analytics dashboard. We would give the role as a product development manager that wants to give clear design guidance to his team. We want it to be, the attributes would be specific, user-centric, prioritizing requirements. The facts we put in there might be user personas, key metrics that we want as an output, and the target outcome would be for a clear specification of the must-haves versus the nice-to-haves. So this would go ahead and pull that into a very succinct output that you could use then with your team in your business.
What would the output be? Is it generating idea? Is the dashboard the product that we're trying to create? Is that right?
In this example, yeah.
So would it generate an idea for a product in that space?
If you start to go deeper into that prompt, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. These are sort of top level prompts that get you started, but you can go much deeper, and you can use the AI to say, look, give me more details of this particular aspect of the prompt, and have that two-way conversation.
And we could feed it in competitors' products, features, and benefits, and tell it we want to beat all of those. Give us something that's better, and then it gives you an answer, and then you push it again and ask it to think outside the box or whatever brief. So the more you work with it, the better results you get, sort of thing.
That's correct. I mean, if you're wanting to use live websites, I'd suggest something like ChatGPT, because that's got a live web interface. Claude doesn't. But then you could take screenshots of dashboards or of competitor pages or something of their products, and then load that image into the AI, and it would use that as part of its analysis as well.
Fabulous. So you can see what's coming through. There's a theme that's coming through today, and it's been common in everything we've talked about, from AI being smarter than humans, to superintelligence ending humanity, to the AI trap. There is a common theme, and then what you've come up with, Tim, and you could really got your sleeves rolled up, and you're dealing with clients doing this every day of the week. It's fantastic. And you also build bots and all sorts of wonderful things in your wonderful company, Powerhouse Digital and BobE.ai. We'll put those links up there afterwards. But the common theme for me that's coming out today is AI is wonderful. But it's I think the 80-20 is a good ratio. The Pareto thing, it happens to be 80-20 again, but it'll do 80% of the work, but there's 20% that you're going to need some brain power from humans to go over this to see if it's a good result or not. Because the things could spew out, and we know they do spew out hallucinations and all sorts of weird stuff. So you still need to have the knowledge. You need to have your degrees and responsibility of science and maths and marketing and all the rest to be able to look at what GPTs are thrown out at us and decide that's bloody brilliant, let's push it for more. But to have that confidence that you know what the difference between good and bad. I think if we adopt and have confidence in doing what you're talking about, Tim, these can be incredibly powerful and useful tools. So most grateful to you. We've got 1 minute. We're just up to that time again. It's Friday, it's Paddy's weekend, so we don't want to delay anybody from today. But Tim Bennett, Managing Director and Founder of Powerhouse Digital and creator of Bob-E/AI, and creator of this craft prompt list, which I do like. You've given us something really useful. We've put the links up there so people can go in. We've put them up on screen, Wayne, haven't we? So where they can get the show notes and so on. So that is fantastic. I'm most grateful to you. I'd like to continue this conversation next week. We'll just probe a bit more. It's nice having somebody with their hands on. If that's okay with you, Tim, if you're around next week, we'll continue this conversation. Okay, so now it is bang on 1:30 UK time. I'm going to say thank you to Reggie all the way from Fort Worth, Texas. Wayne, I'm going to say thank you to you over there in beautiful County Down, Warren Point. And most of all, Tim Bennett, for giving us that expertise. Really, really appreciate that. Now for our hidden surprise to play us out. It's Paddy's weekend. We have got the lads, 15 years of age.
15 and 16, Paul. Yeah.
15 and 16, isn't it fantastic? Paudie Fitzpatrick, the composer, and on the tenor banjo, and with Wayne, you must be a proud man to hear your son on air live, Johnny Denner on guitar. with an unnamed track. And if you have a suggestion for the name of this, throw it out there. We welcome everything. We'll pass them back to the composers and musicians and let's see what they think. Okay, take it away, Wayne. See you all next week. A very happy weekend. Happy Paddy's Day weekend.
Yeehaw!
Okay, see you all next week, guys. Thanks a million.